Hello everyone, and welcome back, or welcome to a bit of a new series we're going to be starting on the channel, Fixing Gym Leaders. And I'm not typically one for like most difficulty in Pokemon, but I do think that Gym Leaders teams have been pretty bad. I mean, Gym 4, not even full movesets on the teams, and Gym 8, still only 3 Pokemon, and one of them doesn't even have a full moveset, and no coverages? It's a bit of a glaring thing, and that's why we're going to be taking a bit of a look at these teams and trying to fix them. I've been a competitive battler for many years, consistently get to Master Rank in Scarlet Violet and Sword and Shield, go to a lot of competitions in both doubles and singles, and I think I do have a bit of a background to work on these teams. So let's set some ground rules for these things. These are to give them more flexibility and some counterplay for the typing that they're going to be going up against. So, giving rock types ways of dealing with things rock is weak to, for example. We're going to be keeping things within Generation 6's bounds. So, no Generation 7 and beyond moves, no Generation 7 and beyond Pokemon, no Generation 7 and beyond abilities, things like that. So, no Z moves or Dynamax, no Gigantamax. And these are going to be kept within the rules that exist within Generation 6. Depending on how well this series goes, there will be no legendaries or mythicals yet. Depending on how things go, I actually might make a series about the best teams for these trainers, and that'll include those, full competitive effort value spreads and all the bells and whistles. No held items or effort values, kind of goes hand in hand with the thing above again. Depending on what this does, we go for that. And we will still be sticking with the monotype theme of their, themes. So, not going to have, say, 5 Pokemon for one trainer who's a rock type and then one Pokemon that is very anti-rock type. We're going to keep within the themes because these are gyms. And these things, some of them are going to be pretty extreme. The goal of this is to make them hard. You're not meant to beat them. These are not meant to be feasible in all cases. You can win against some of them, you can win against possibly all of them with enough time, but these are meant to be like radical red levels of they're cruel, unfair, and you're not meant to win. Megas have been given to every single one of the gym leaders after Viola. X and Y's main thing was Megas. Actually, every single one of the gym leaders has a typing that corresponds to a Mega Evolution that was implemented in the game, and many of them even use Pokemon or have Pokemon of evolutionary families that are capable of Mega Evolution. So why were they not given them? I don't know. Levels were boosted to be, so they aren't underleveled. That's one of the worst things about X and Y. I've actually recently played it for a little bit of research of this, and you are almost consistently overleveled for all of them. And they will be using all of their original evolutionary lines, plus 3 additional ones. So this means I can't swap out 1 or 2 bum evolutionary families. I have to keep within what their original team is. The only thing I can do is evolve them. And now for allowed Pokemon and moves, they will be far earlier than normal. What this means is Pokemon will learn moves at levels they haven't learned them at yet. So say a Pokemon learns Earthquake by level up at level 40, but you're fighting at level 32, well, it'll have Earthquake. This does keep within the bounds of actually previously established Pokemon games where this happens. Cough, cough, we're known as Altaria with Dragon Dance. Cough, cough, Lance's Dragonite. All 3 of them. So we're not quite breaking the rules of the game because this has been established fact of moves and levels or kind of moves with things. So, with all of the ground rules selected and laid, let's rock and roll with the Kalos gyms and how to fix them. But before we get into everything, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, guys. You guys are the ones that make all of this stuff go around. We do a lot of stuff on the channel, playlists of all kinds of games, many of them I've never played before, so you get to see me flail around. We do streams every day, we stream shiny hunting, battles with viewers, and many other things. We have a lot of plans for future things. Let's get into fixing the Kalos gym leaders teams with Viola. I decided to bump her Masquerain from being a Surskit into a Masquerain, giving it the moves Quiver Dance, Bug Buzz, Giga Drain, and Scald. All of these are moves it learns by level up, or TM, or relearn her at this point. Quiver Dance, obviously, is terrifying. It's to give her ways of dealing with rock types and fire types, as well as just burns from Scald are terrifying. Quiver Dance is an insane setup move. Ability is going to be Intimidate because it's one of the best abilities there is. Again, nerfs physical attackers. This thing's meant to be just annoying from all sides. Level 16, so it's not too terrifying. But Moxie Pinsir, definitely not the easiest thing to deal with. Bulk Up, just boost stats into insanity. Amazing stats normally. Brick Break, Rock Slide, and X's are for long strings of brutal damage. Scizor with Technician, Bullet Punch, Swords Dance, and Acrobatics X Scizor. Keep in mind, Acrobatics is going to be 110 base power because it is not holding an item. It's the only one that doesn't have a Mega, so it's not holding a Mega. Scizor, Technician, Bullet Punch, Swords Dance, only weak to fire. Really not much you can do against this thing. It's scary. Escavalier. I decided to give her this as another, of course, Steel bug type with, again, only a weakness to fire. Swords Dance, X Scizor, Iron Head, Rain Dance, and Swarm. Lots of bulk, lots of aggressive power, and the Rain Dance would completely neuter its weakness in fire, allowing it to just slap things. It really can't hit fire types for much, but there's really only one fire type available at this point, and that's the, well, Fire Starter. Again, they're not meant to be easy. These are meant to be unfair and cruel, and I could have gone more cruel. Her last Pokemon is going to be her ace, Vivillon. This is why that the Escavalier had Rain Dance, Hurricane, even Compound Ice still makes that fairly reliable. Quiver Dance, Bug Buzz, and Giga Drain, much the same as what we had on Master Rain. It's just there for brutal damage. Being able to be used in and out of the Rainstorm, actually, because of the way Compound Ice has its accuracy boosting. Up next, we're going to Grant. Decided to bump him up to level 30 and lead off with a Shell Smash Crustle. Doesn't evolve by this level and doesn't learn Shell Smash at this level. This is what I meant by these things are meant to be cruel and unfair. Sturdy Shell Smash ensures setup of that. Rock Slide, X Scizor, and Earthquake. Not much wants to take this on. His Amora is, well, heavily changed. Refrigerate for Hyper Beam because it does actually learn Hyper Beam, one of the few unevolved Pokemon that learns that. Refrigerate giving it a 30% damage boost and converting it into Ice type and then giving it Stab. That is an insane power move. In total, that is a 292 base power move. That's more than Explosion. You have to recharge the next turn, but what's surviving that? Ancient Power, Thunderbolt, just for some coverage, and Thunder Wave just for some paralysis spreading if it needs to. Decided to keep his Tyrant, also giving it the Sturdy ability, so it can somewhat similarly set up a Dragon Dance. Not as powerful as, of course, the Crustle, but it is definitely something not to scoff at. Dragon Claw and Rock Slide are pretty solid stabs. Crunch is there to hit things mostly neutrally. But yeah, again, could have been worse with this. Could have definitely gone more evil. Decided to slap on a Lunatone to his team. It's a bit of an odd inclusion. Levitate ability, though, gives it an immunity to ground. Ice Beam allows it to slap ground types and grass types for some damage. Trick Room and Calm Mind allow it to kind of do a bit of double duty of setup and go attack itself, while also letting the slow rock types actually do well, even without needing to boost up their speed. Kind of the one weakness of rock types is that they're quite slow, and this actually is an advantage to them. Psychic would also allow it to hit fighting types quite hard. Cradilly is there for similar reasons as well. The Lunatone. Storm Drain gives it an immunity to water, actually strengthening it. With Earth Power there to hit, well, Steel types, hit grass types with Sludge Bomb, destroy water types with Giga Drain, destroy ground types with Giga Drain, and Ingrain just to give it a lot of passive healing. It's a very annoying Pokemon to deal with. Very bulky, very obnoxious type combination, and not much really enjoys going up against a Cradilly. And now for his Mega Aerodactyl. It was this Diancie Mega Tyranitar. This was the least of the evils. Tough Claws gives it a blanket 35% damage boost to all of its contact moves, which, while it doesn't have the most contact moves in this present moveset, both Rock Slide and Earthquake are not affected by it, it certainly is a big boost to Fly, and Iron Head is just very respectably powerful now with that boost. It is insanely fast, really being one of the fastest rock types in existence, if not the fastest rock types in existence, allowing it to do a lot of things that most rock types are not capable of doing, and break through Pokemon much more easily. Heading over to Karina, we've got her Hawlucha with Thunder Punch, Drain Punch, Iron Head, and Acrobatics. You're gonna notice that a lot. Limber gives it an immunity to paralysis. Its ability of Unburden is not particularly helpful here because it doesn't have any items, but it's fast. Not the most powerful, but Drain Punch can definitely do some damage. And Iron Head, Thunder Punch, Acrobatics all give it broad spectrum coverage, slapping things it is weak to, slapping a lot of the good things you'd want to use against a fighting type gym for some pretty major damage. Heracross with Moxie is much like the previous Moxie Pinsir, brutal attacker. Doesn't have bulk up in this one, instead going for a full all-out attacking, except with Rock Slide, Brick Break, Mega Horn, and Earthquake. It's meant to go in and just savage things. Machamp has been upgraded from her previous Machoke. No Guard, Stone Edge, and Dynamic Punch is incredibly lethal, always hitting those, high crits, and always confusion. Cross Chop's heightened critical hit chance, completely sidestepping the reduced accuracy it has. And Bullet Punch just there for priority because Machamp is a bit on the slow side. Once again, Medicham has a lovely damage-heavy Beat Stick. Thunder Punch, Drain Punch, Poison Jab, and Psycho Cut, giving it that broad spectrum anti-counter damage potential, as well as, of course, the insane power Pure Power brings. For context, Pure Power boosts Medicham's physical attack up to around 160. That's unnerfed Regigigas. Yeah, this thing has a higher attack stat functionally than legendaries. And that's with Drain Punch Stab to heal itself. Minfu is actually the only one not sporting access to a stab fighting move. The reason for this is Minfu doesn't have particularly aggressive stats, instead it is very fast. Fake Out, U-Turn, Acrobatics, and Rock Slide is there to let it come in, hit something with a Fake Out, flinch it, get some chip damage off, and then U-Turn bop out of there to get a good switch into another Pokemon, proc its Regenerator ability, heal itself up to just keep doing that over and over again. And when something is weak enough, go for the throat with Acrobatics or Rock Slide. Rounding out with our killer app, the Mega Lucario. Adaptability is insane. Both of its offensive stats are pretty absurd, but its physical moves are generally a bit more useful. Bullet Punch was really gone for, as there's no physical moves it has that are steel that are actually quite good, and Bullet Punch is there primarily to deal with, well, fairy types. Crunch, there to slap some psychic types and ghost types, but in most cases, Drain Punch is honestly going to be more than sufficient for everything. Adaptability boosts Drain Punch's power with its coupled natural near 150 base physical attack to allow it to do, well, double damage. So even if, say, Crunch is super effective, but Drain Punch is neutral, Drain Punch is still the better move, because it is only slightly less damage, but it will heal it. Thunder Punch, great for counter-killing potential, and overall, fast, hard-hitting, it's just insane. Of course, Flash Cannon may have been a better option, but many fairy types are actually heavily specially defensive, thus making it not quite useful. Ramos, Go-Goat is not much changed. Moves have been actually improved across the board with Brick Break, Bulk Up, Horn Leech, and Earthquake, giving it some respectable physical setup options with healing, of course, via Horn Leech, and some coverage with Earthquake and Brick Break. Stab Zipper is a relatively useless ability, but its other ability of Grass Pelt doesn't help it here. Jump Bluff is not great, but again, had to use it because it's within the rules of what we have. We have to use their previous lineups. U-Turn at the very least allows it to pivot in and out, and Reflect gives it some screen-setting potential to cover up for its allies, giving a little bit of a defensive boost. And Stab Acrobatics is actually not bad, but it is also not much of an attacker itself. Energy Ball, there also similarly for Stab. Not great, but it can work. The real killer app comes in with Ludicolo. Swift Swim Rain Dance, allowing it to be blindingly fast, as well as hitting the fire types that love to devour grass types. Scald spreads burns on just about everything, again aside from fire types, which already aren't liking to take Scald normally. Ice Beam, there for some coverage, and Energy Ball, strong stab. The real new addition is his Rotom Mow. With Levitate is immune to ground moves, which really isn't much of a problem, because it's a grass-type gem, ground isn't too good against it. But Thunderbolt and Volt Switch allow it to hit the very dangerous flying types while also being neutral to flying. Leaf Storm is a brutally strong move, and Foul Play lets it hit, well, physical attackers by rebounding their stats into it. His Mega Evolution is Venusaur, the only Pokemon to benefit from both ends of Thick Fat. Thick Fat gives it a neutrality to both fire and ice. It halves the power of them, and its weakness just turns into a time-throw multiplier, so Earthquake can actually go in pretty aggressively on fire types, with the brutally powerful Frenzy Plant as just ridiculous stab. Energy Ball for stab that doesn't give you a recharge turn, and Sludge Bomb for, well, coverage. Final part of his team, the last one we still had to use on it, is Victory Bell. Not great. Acid Spray does allow it to do more damage with Sludge Bomb and Giga Drain to heal more health, but it isn't fantastic. It's a bit on the frail side and not the fastest thing. But Leaf Blade is okay. Only major issue is its stats are not great. But again, still had to use it. Going over to Clement. New lead of Compound Eyes, Galvantula. Sticky webs allow him to slow down just about everything. While Electric is generally known for being pretty speedy, there are more than a few pretty good Electric types that are not quite that fast, and the sticky web support is definitely helpful. Compound Eyes also makes Thunder very, very accurate, and Bug Buzz and Energy Ball go pretty well on things that actually do resist Electric. Emolga is actually there for somewhat similar reasons. Tailwind Acrobatics allows it to well support its allies by giving them a speed boost. Acrobatics is very strong stab. Discharge helps it spread paralysis to again further reduce that speed, and Volt Switch allows it to quickly pivot out while maintaining momentum to get, well, allies that are typically quite slower to still have Tailwind or paralysis under their belts. His Mega is gonna be Ampharos. Dragon Pulse from that special attack stat is insane. It's going to be hitting just about everything for neutral damage, and Thunderbolt is a brutal move coming from it. Focus Blast, while not the greatest, is respectable when it does land. Hits Ice types quite hard, hits Rock types quite hard, which are generally part ground, as well as have very low special defense normally. And Signal Beam is for those, well, grass types that like to be resistant to electric. He's also packing a Rotom Wash. Immune to the typical problem that electric types have in ground, Hydro Pump and Will-O-Wisp destroy them. Most ground types are physically based, and Will-O-Wisp does a number on them. It also does not interfere with Foul Play. Foul Play takes into account the user of Foul Play's burn, not the target. So it can burn and not really be penalized. Again, Hydro Pump, very strong. And Volt Switch for, again, maintaining momentum. His Magneton has been upgraded into a Magnezone. Signal Beam again to hit those grass types, Flash Cannon for strong stab and hitting those ground types, which tend to also be part rock, and Thunderbolt and Volt Switch for, well, pivoting around. The reason why Volt Switch is on this, despite being actually quite slow, is Magnezone does have a large number of resistances and actually synergizes well with the rest of his team, allowing it to come in on things they are generally weak to, but it resists. Or things like Emolga or Rotom coming in on its, well, it's to ground, which they just are absolutely able to body. But his final member of the team is his Heliolisk. Dry Skin with Rain Dance allows it to heal passively every turn and increases the power of Surf, allowing it to blow through ground types. Also makes Thunder perfectly accurate, and once again, Volt Switch for maintaining momentum, switching out against weaknesses, pairing up perfectly with that Emolga, who actually resists everything that Heliolisk is weak to. Next we have Valerie, aka Miss Creepy Eye Lady herself. New lead is Gardevoir with Trace, Calm Mind, Psychic, Shadow Ball, and Moonblast, set up for big damage. You don't really need a full move set of offensive moves. A lot of the time it is better to actually go with a single setup move and 3 just strong moves, generally two stabs, or 1 stab and 2 coverages, or 1 coverage with 2 stabs. This allowing it to be a relatively fast thing that hits stuff pretty hard and Trace to copy any useful abilities the opponent may have. On the physical side, because there are very few physical fairy types, she has Azumarill. Ice Punch, Superpower, Waterfall, and Play Rough all do insane damage. We've already been over how just insane Medicham is, and Azumarill is only a slightly lower power version of that, still more than the equal of power of something such as Groudon, while having significantly better bulk and a significantly better type combination. Neutrally damaged by Steel, which most other fairies are actually weak to, allowing it to synergize very well. On the other end, we've got Klefki. Prankster allows it to, well, always set up something like Reflect and Thunder Wave as well as Swagger before the opponent goes, which that may not sound like a good thing, of course, Swagger to boost their attack stat, but when you pair that up with Foul Play, it is capable of rebounding those boosted attack stats into the target. Thunder Wave also allows it to further reduce the odds of you being able to attack it, and Reflect just gives it an extra layer of defense, so even if you do manage to attack it, it's still reducing its damage it's taking, while just dealing out insane damage to you. She still keeps her Mr. Mime. Filter is a fantastic ability on it, giving it a reduction in damage that it is weak to, which, honestly, considering it's a screen setter, is very good. Foul Play, just to rebound damage into the target, very good when it doesn't really have great coverage options. And Psychic, just for stab. Sylveon is broadly similar to her Gardevoir. Actually, everything other than is almost the same except for Hyper Voice being exchanged for, well, Moonblast being exchanged for Hyper Voice. The reason why it's in pink for Fairy, despite being a normal move, is Pixelate, which converts it into a Fairy move, boosts its power by 30%, and then it gets stabbed. Yeah. The reason why it went for Hyper Voice, not Hyper Beam, is by this point in the game, things are actually having higher defensive stats and letting something else stay around when Sylveon is relatively slow. Not a great idea. And then rounding out her team is the dreaded Mega Mawile. So we've been over Pure Power and Huge Power before. I've calculated Mega Mawile's effective attack stat. It's 260, just about. Really, it's more like 257. Keep in mind, something like Mega Mewtwo is only at 194. This thing is insane. Sucker Punch for priority when it's a very slow Pokemon, naturally allowing it to get the jump on you. Iron Head, Thunder Punch, Play Rough just for broad spectrum heavy damage. Heading over to Olympia, we've got a familiar face in Medicham. If you can't tell, I'm a big fan of these things that have insane physical attack stats for the lineups. A little bit different than Karina's, it instead has Bullet Punch and Bulk Up in exchange for the 2 coverage moves, the reason being, her team doesn't really need those moves that Karina had, allowing it for Bulk Up to punish Dark types, and Bullet Punch just giving it some priority, because it is on a little bit of a slower side, allowing it to actually very heavily counter those Dark and Steel types that generally like to prey on Psychic. Her new ace is going to be a Mega Alakazam. Very similar to Gardevoir we saw back with Valerie, it's Calm Mind, Psychic, Shadow Ball, and Dazzling Gleam. For broad coverage, trace to copy any useful abilities, though it's the only ability that Mega Alakazam actually gets a hold of, so can't really do anything about that. But it's fast, hits ridiculously hard, what are you really going to do against it? Meowstick is really the only weak link on her team. Competitive is its best ability for it, boosting its stats massively whenever you try to debuff it. With Calm Mind, Psychic, Shadow Ball, and Signal Beam, giving it stab and coverage, not really too much to say. Sigilyph is an inclusion for her. The main reason for this is it's a Tailwind setter, so some Pokemon on her team that are not the fastest can actually get a bit of a speed boost with that wonderful Tailwind. Psychic and Air Slash may or may not be the greatest things depending on situations, but Flash Cannon is there for some things that it is weak to, as well as, of course, coverage. Magic Guard also protects it against any status conditions, such as poison, burns, or entry hazards. Keeping her Slowking, instead giving it Regenerator over its regular ability. Foul Play is there for similar reasons as previous Foul Play users have been. Scald there for just reliably spreading burns. Psychic is there just for stab, and Flamethrower is there for slapping, of course, the fire-weak bug types and steel type that tend to enjoy coming in against Psychic. And then there is Metagross. Meteor Mash, Zen Headbutt, Earthquake, and Brick Break. Clear Body is the only ability it gets. This was past Metagross's prime, but it's still a freaking unit when it comes to being on a team. Bulky, lots of good resistances, great moves, and under Tailwind it is very fast. And now we get to Wolfric. Cryogonal is really not very great, but had to improve it somehow, giving it Freeze Dry, Reflect, Hail, and Recover. Reflect is there because its only bad stat really is its physical defense, and Reflect would kind of shore that up a little bit. Hail, allowing it to support its allies, and Recover there to, well, take a hit. If it survives, recover, and just slowly chip things down. Freeze Dry allows it to actually hit water types for super effective damage, which normally are resistant to ice, and a number of water types are actually 4 times weak to Freeze Dry, meaning they would just get taken out of the equation immediately. Cloyster has been added to the team. Skill Link making Icicle Spear and Rock Blast always hit 5 times, only needing a single accuracy check. Shell Smash for even more absurd power, and Razor Shell just for stab. It's pretty much the only physical water stab it gets. Avalugg is, well, Ice Body, of course, pair well with that Hail. Avalanche, because it is very slow naturally, is its strongest physical ice move. Gyro Ball to work on its very slow speed to its own advantage. Rock Slide just for a little coverage, and Superpower there just for a big hit. Aurorus has Snow Warning. This is to set Hail immediately upon entering. Flash Cannon is there to destroy opposing Pokemon that are weak to Steel. Better than having a Rock move, as its Rock moves are not very good, and it actually hits the same as Flash Cannon when it comes to Ancient Power for hitting Ice types. So better just to go Flash Cannon, which has better coverage. Earth Power, there for hitting some things that it could be weak to, as well as, again, special defense drop. But much like with Cryogonal, Freeze Dry Access is there to hit water types, whereas Blizzard is its reliable, strong stab, which will always hit in Hail, almost at Snow, because that's what we are in the modern games. Mega Abomasnow is now his ace, in exchange for the original ace he had, which was his Avalugg. Giving him access to a Mega Abomasnow, while not fantastic by any means, is still quite good. Snow Warning, only ability it gets. But Ice Shard gives it priority to hit because it is actually a very slow Pokemon normally. But Giga and Woodhammer are both pretty respectably strong Grass-type moves, giving it very high stab and very good power. Brick Break is there just for a little bit of coverage. Not fantastic, but Abomasnow doesn't really get too many great moves. And rounding out the rest of these gyms is a thick, fat Mamoswine. Avalanche, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Superpower. Really doesn't need much explanation. It is now neutrally damaged by fire, capable of destroying them easily. Hits really hard. It's a Mamoswine. It does the wonderful Mamoswiney things. And depending actually on how well this whole thing does and what your thoughts on it is, I have been thinking of doing a best teams series. So basically taking a gym leader, keeping their ace, and from there, building out the best competitive team possible with their typing. This would include using legendaries, items, effort values, and modern mechanics. So, for say, Viola, using modern mechanics of terastallization and Cleavor, for example. But I will see you guys then. Thank you guys for tuning in for the series. Comment below like what you thought on this whole thing, and what you actually would like to see for the next of these series, because we are going to be doing more of these. If you haven't done so already, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more, and in both the comments below of this video, I'd like to know what you enjoyed about this, what was your favorite improvements, what gym leader do you think was the hardest, and for determining what the next region we're going to go do for this is. We have an entire series called the Pokemon Difficulty Analysis, where we actually broke down how difficult are the Pokemon games and what was the hardest game. iCard should be around here somewhere. And on that playlist, comment on which video you would want that region to be next. So if you want, say, Sinnoh to be next, go to either the BDSP videos or the Generation 4 videos, comment BDSP next, or Heart Gold Soul Silver next, if you want Johto. But might end up redoing that one. But again, thank you for the rant. Please just excuse the inane rambling at this point. This was an unscripted video, kind of trying to unhinged Maxis. People enjoy it more, it seems. But I'll see you guys next time. Let's go out. Also want to give a special thanks to all of my members on the channel, as well as It's Really Timmy B, who really clued me into this, and I ran a bunch of the ideas by him. So, shout out to our friend Timmy B. Wonderful guy.